beginning, Lancaster. I'm saying that right now.
You were the one that said Lancaster.
I know.
Yep, that's right.
We try to get it right.
I like it.
As broadcasters do. Okay, so Lancaster, Pennsylvania. What were your interests as a youngster?
Well, it's easy to say, but it was sports for me. My parents got divorced at a young age, and I often joke with my 4 boys. I didn't have any siblings growing up that I lived with. My father got remarried, and I have a half brother, half sister. I lived separate from them, so I often had imaginary Joey, and my kids laugh at me to this day for the fact that I had these imaginary friends. I used to act like I was getting a pass from in the basketball court and shoot some hoops. But the thing about that was sports just teach you so much. And I played quarterback for all my life, ever since I was 8. I wanted to be able to try to lead as much as I could. And there's nothing better to me than just a bunch of guys or females, whatever sport you're in, just working together to a better cause of winning. And I think, even at this level, you saw it in the video with the Club Dub. I mean, how awesome is that for grown men to be coming in and just being a kid for about 5 minutes? It doesn't get any better than that. So the only way it gets better is when the coaches get up there, but the only way that happens is when we win the Super Bowl. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say it was my mother. My mother, just a strong lady that just taught me. She taught me, forget sports, forget everything else in life. How do you treat people? You treat them with respect, and you just do the little things. You don't change the way I just told our team on Monday. I repeated it. It's the thank yous and the pleases that go a long way. You hold the door for somebody. You let somebody go first, and no matter who you are, where you're at in life, you never lose that. She taught me that. In the sports world, and the first true believer that I had, other than, and I don't want to take away from my father, because I have a great relationship with my father, but my grandfather, who lived until he was 72, for me, for about 12 years of growing up, that was the guy that believed in me the most.
This is your mom's dad?
This was my mom's father, and he believed in me since I was little, and he was the one guy. And when somebody believes in you, it's amazing what can happen. And he didn't get to see me play in high school. He passed my sophomore year, but I know he's watching, and he was always there. And now there's been a lot of other people. My dad I'm very close with, and my grandmother too. So I think in any of us, and whatever you do, when you have a strong support staff in what you do, good things happen. And I've been very blessed and fortunate, and I just don't want to, I don't want to lose this opportunity because I've been lucky.
Your dad coached, so you learned some of that from him.
I did, yeah, and we lived a couple hours away. He was in New Jersey when I was in Pennsylvania, but we talked a lot on the phone, and then he did come and see me as I got into high school. And not that he didn't see me before, but when sports started coming in, I mean, he was really around supporting me, and it was great. We had a great relationship. My mom and him do, and he coached high school football in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and he's to this day gives me pointers and still wants to tell me when I call a bad play on the way.
When did you know that you wanted to be a coach?
So I would say the second that I knew. When I knew I was done playing as a player, which I stopped playing when I was right around 28, 30 years old. But I say the first time was when I was in high school. I came from a kind of a Friday Night Lights program in Pennsylvania, small school town, but we liked football, and the town loved football, and there was family. And I just always appreciated the head coaches of these high school teams. And I was okay with I got my degree in health and exercise sciences. I was going to be a health and phys ed teacher, coached 30 years in high school football because of the family. I didn't want to be away from my family. I wanted to be able to coach football, which I love and I'm passionate about, but yet be a dad. And so that's when in high school I knew I kind of was going to that direction. When I got to college and I knew it was real, when I was done playing, I knew football had to be a part of my life. And I was in real estate. I won't say I loved it. I really liked it. But then I got the phone call from Coach Reed, and he offered me the position, and then I knew I loved that, and I got to do it.
But you started a home sales career with the thought that you were done with it, right?
Yeah, except for coaching high school. I was still coaching high school football. Yeah. So exactly. So I was sitting in a model home in 2009. I was sitting in a model home every weekend, having people come to my house and try and sell them on why they want to build a home with Keystone Custom Homes. I liked it. It's competitive. The beauty is that every Monday, once a month, we had that spin the wheel deal, where if you sell the most houses, you get to spin the wheel, and then on the wheel is like a bunch of money, and you get like a bonus. So I came into that thing, and I had no idea how to sell a house, but I was not losing that thing. I'm going to get it. And so one month, I sold 8 homes in 1 month, and I walked up to that wheel in November with a boss walk, man. And I spun that wheel, and I got like $50. And I realized this isn't for me.
But you were talented. And I've only known you here for about an hour or so, but I think you could sell me. Could he sell you a home? So what changed? Tell us about the circumstance under which you were able to leave that career and get back into coaching full time.
So as we all know, it's about networking. It's about, in whatever you do, it's who you know and who believes in you, who trusts you. And I went to the University of Delaware. My wide receiver was a guy by the name of Brett Veach, who's now the general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs. And he just so happened to be an assistant to Coach Reed. He used to stack Coach Reed's refrigerator, carry his luggage on the airplane, and now he's a general manager. And Brett called me up and said, "Hey man, come do this internship." I was still playing in the Arena League, remember that? So the Chicago Rush League, and they had a team. I played in that league, and that folded in 2008, so I was out of a job for playing, and then the recession hit, and real estate really wasn't what you wanted to be in. So Beach called me up and said, "Hey, come do this internship in Philly." So I did it. And he said, "Hey, be a fourth arm." I was going there with the mindset as a player. And then the next year, then I'm out of a job. I get a Keystone Custom Homes. I'm selling homes, and he calls me back and says, "Hey, come do this internship again for 3 weeks." I said, "Veach, I can't. I have a real job now. I can't take 3 weeks off and just go to a summer training camp." And he gave me advice. He said, "Listen, it's out of sight, out of mind with Coach Reed. If you don't go do this, you never know what might happen." So we talked it over, my wife and I. I'll never forget. I sat on the front porch, and I had a salary, and it just so happened that the president of the company is a diehard Chicago Bears fan, which is amazing that happened. But he gave me the ability to go take 3 weeks off and go to this camp. And Kevin Cobb tweaked his ankle, and all of a sudden, Coach Reed, I'm an intern, and Coach Reed calls me into his office in the middle of preseason. And he says, "Hey, do you have an agent? Are you in shape? And do you know the playbook?" And I said, "Yes, yes, and yes." And the only thing I had was an agent. I didn't know the playbook. And so he said, "Well, I'm going to sign you to a contract. You're going to play in the 4th preseason game against the Patriots." So now I just went from like selling houses in Palmyra, Pennsylvania, to playing in the 4th preseason game. And then so I get up in the morning, study the scripts, and I go out to practice, and I put cleats, because in the Arena League you wear basketball sneakers. I haven't had cleats on since 2000. It's like 8 years since I put cleats on. So I got to practice, I'm like tripping over my feet with the cleats are stubbing, and I practice, I go back in, I played Brian Westbrook in college. We're walking out to the second practice, and Tom Hecker, rest his soul, the general manager tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Hey, Nags, we got an NFL next year contract. They called it intern stashing." So they thought that coach was bringing me in to be an intern, but I was in all the meetings for 3 weeks, and he's going to sign me as a player. So he said, "You got to go put the coaching shorts back on." And that crushed me. And so I did, went back home for the rest of that football season in the house. selling homes. That year ended, and then that's when Coach Reed called me up in January after the Eagles lost in the playoffs and said, hey, listen, I got an entry-level job with the Eagles. This was a Tuesday. He called me in the middle of a contract I was writing with people, and he said Thursday I was full-time with the Eagles, and that was in 2010.
The man the Bears fan you referred to was your boss,
Yeah.
Larry Wisdom.
Yes.
He gave you the flexibility to make the move that resulted in what you're doing now. And the irony that he is a Bears fan is sweet.
It is. It's amazing how, what happens in life and how things happen. And when you look back, you don't really know what's going on then. I had no idea he was a Bears fan at the time. And then for this to come full circle, he gave me his blessing. And the thing that made it tough was when I was new, I was a newbie going into the business. So he said, listen, here's what I'll do. I'll take care of you and your family during this recession, and I'll put you on a nice salary. For 10 months, you're going to learn how to sell homes. At the end of 10 months, you're going to get off of that. You're going to be commissioned. It's on you now the rest of the way. Well, where I felt bad was at 10 months is when Coach Reed called. And so it was really, I felt terrible because I was, I needed his blessing. And for him to believe in me and know that he knew I was done as a player, but to believe in me and say, he told me, go chase your dream, go do it. He did it. And he was, to me and my wife, he's an angel, and he's taken care of us, and he's been in my press box, or in our suite this year. There's nothing better. He came to the facility, and I wouldn't be in this spot right now where I'm at without people like him. And I'll always be there.
Kyle recited your statistics from the Arena Football League. They are spectacular. You had great success there. But the Arena game is so different, right, than the National Football League game. And yet, did that experience impact the way you administrate the football game right now as the head coach?
Some ways it did. As a quarterback, everything's tighter, lanes are smaller. We always talk about that in the red zone to Mitchell and our quarterbacks, is that the defense now has the end line, and lanes are tighter, things happen faster. And that's similar in the Arena League. You had to really anticipate. And you don't see that as much in the NFL because the field's bigger. For me at that point in time, I just thought it was neat to be able to be a part of. I always said I wasn't going to be that guy. I told my dad and I told my agent, I'm not being that guy that hangs on. I'm either playing in the NFL or I'm done. And then I played 6 years in the Arena. So somehow I just didn't live up to it didn't work out.
But you loved it.
But I absolutely loved it. And I was playing the game. And then I loved it even more every year that went by. And I knew that, there was not only guys that were talented that were playing for the love of the game, but these were good people. They really were, and it was a small fraternity, and so it ended up not working out. But again, you learn valuable lessons in life, and I think, and we try to tell our players this, is things happen for a reason. And what's really easy right now, just recently, we all witnessed in sports, to me, 2 really powerful teaching lessons. The way Virginia bounced back and came back to win after getting knocked out and setting history in a bad way of coming back and winning the national championship, that's an amazing story. And then what just happened, at the Masters with Tiger and with the adversity that he went through, I just think whether you're a fan of him or you're not, or whether you're a fan of Virginia or you're not, what we all need to understand, and we can relate in this room that are Bears fans and Bears coaches, is what we just went through last year. It wasn't easy, but the ability to turn that negative into a positive, that's what gets you. That's what burns you. And so when I stood in that meeting room the other day with our guys, we went through some highlights and lowlights of the season. And when it was all said and done, and that video stopped, you could hear a pin drop of that feeling that we had. And so, but that's okay. That's failure. And that quote that failure is the condiment that gives success its flavor. That's powerful. And I think that's what we all need to live by, is that there's a lot more lows than there are highs. We all remember the lows. But I'm going to make sure that what we went through last year, we're going to take any of the lows that we had and we're going to turn it into a positive. And that's the only way we're looking at it this year.
You referred to it earlier. That is well said. And you referred to it earlier, talking about teamwork. And that's one thing that you learned as you began to be an athlete. We learn from competitive athletics at whatever level we play or coach. We learn so many things from competing that apply to other areas of our lives, like selling homes, for example.
Sure.
And we learn by following your team and watching what you do. And one of the things we've learned from you is that it's valuable sometimes to take some chances, to take some risks. Who did you learn that from?
Nobody, really. Honestly, I did. And I just, that's just my, I was made that way. That's just my DNA. And I'm not looking, if there's, what I'll do is I'll use it as a tool. If I made a mistake from it because I'm too aggressive, it's got to be calculated. And if it's not calculated and it's just senseless, then you shouldn't be doing it. But if there's a method to your madness and it makes sense, then that's just the line I took. I believe in aggressiveness and I believe in dictating the pace, but offensively, defense. I believe that in life. I'm not looking back on any regrets. And Ryan and I always talk about it. We believe in it. We remind each other every day, whatever decisions we make, we do it together. We don't ever look back. There's no regrets. And so that's our motto, but that's who I am. And I wish I could tell you a better answer, but I'm not changing. That's just where I'm at. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I got to learn from it.
Well, you take a risk, you call for a long pass play and it fails, it's incomplete, but it changes the mindset of the defense, right?
Yeah, it does. Well, what it does is it lets those DBs know they can't just sit and squat on those and try to get that pick six. And if they are going to get squatty, then we'll hit them with the double move. But you got to be able to test them. Now, you want to those challenges, those downfield throws you take. At some point, you got to hit them, but you got to practice those. If you don't practice them, you'll never hit them in the game.
Being unpredictable, running the ball on 2nd and 15, or a long pass play on 3rd and 1, is that something that's not done often enough?
No, I think when you get to right now, the game, and in college as well, there's so much stats and tendencies that teams show. So, as an offensive play caller, you got to be able to stay one step ahead as those defensive coaches. They're on to it. They know what they see tendencies and they get an idea of what you're doing. So it's a cat and mouse game. But if it's 3rd and 1, common sense tells you that you should run the ball. But guess what? They know that too. So they're going to put everybody up in the box. And so sometimes there's a calculated risk of there's no safety back there. Let's take a shot and go one-on-one or wideouts. If it doesn't work, then what happens is you got to answer that question in the media afterwards, right? So when you run the ball and you don't get it, well, why didn't you? So but that's a part of where we come from. And I think just down to distance-wise, it's so different by every team and what they believe in. And it's just kind of up to that play caller.
But I assume you can't allow what you might have to talk with reporters about after the game to dictate what you do in the game.
No, it doesn't. But you also got to answer those questions.
Yes, you do. So that brings me to my next area. Let's talk about dealing with reporters. This, by the way, last year was your first year as a head coach at any level.
Yeah.
And you were coach of the year in the National Football League. Who were coach of the year in their first year as an NFL head coach. Has there ever been another coach who was coach of the year in the NFL who had never been a head coach before that? Does anybody know the answer to that one? I tried to research it and I couldn't find it. Do you know?
No, I don't know. And it is humbling, and I think that it's a position for me where it's one of those. it talks about who our staff is. It talks about who our players are. You know, I won't even put that up in my office or anything that I appreciate it, but that's not what, there's a better one that we all want. And we know what that is. I'm not kidding. When you get that doesn't, when you get recognized for that award, it's first of all, it's about the players, right? They always talk about, is it the plays or the players? It's the players that make the plays. And so that's number one. But then the coaches that we have, the people in the building, the support staff that we have in the organization, our janitors, our chefs that are down, that every morning when I walk through that building in the morning early, and they're there already making breakfast, you know, that's all a part of that. And we're all in this thing together. So that's why I liked it, for that. And it spoke to who we are, and high character people. And we always talk about it is I know I'm going off a little bit of a tangent, but the high character stuff is what's real. And so you're a good person. I'll take that good person. That's a average coach more than I'll take a great coach who's a bad person. I don't want that, and that's fine. That's what we believe in. And so when adversity strikes, those doors aren't shut. The whisper zone doesn't happen. The doors are open, and we're talking how the heck we're going to get through this.
Individual awards are good for competitive sports because they spread the word, they create publicity. But yeah, they're always a function of a lot more than that individual, including your fans, who are emotionally encouraging you and making a difference.
The beautiful part of last year for me, first year, and for us as a team, learning who we were and then what we wanted to do for not only our team but for the city. That's why I make it's so important for our coaches and our players to understand the rich tradition and history, and this being of all years, 100 years. How cool is that? The NFL's recognizing that for the NFL, but we get our own. And so it's just a great thing for our guys to understand how important it is to know where that's at, and then we just we follow that path, and we just want to do good things.
First year of the NFL was 1920. I don't happen to remember that. Others here, but this is your let me go back to the meeting. I started by saying your first year as head coach, so your first experience dealing with reporters as a head coach. How's that going?
I think you can make it hard if you want to make it hard. For me, just be honest. And when I put our values up to our team, we talk about, there's about 10 things on there that are important to me, but that I know are important to our staff as well. And one of them is honesty. And so what I've found over this past year is dealing with the local media in Chicago. They're only doing their job. And one of the things that really I thought was neat, talking to them and building relationships to them, was sometimes coaches it can feel like an annoyance that you got to go to a press conference or you got to talk about every day similar stories that go on. But when you talk to the media, you realize that 10 minutes that they have of talking to you is their whole day. That's their practice. So when we're out there practicing for 3 hours and trying to figure out how we're going to win this week, they got a 10-minute slot of their practice and their game of what article they're going to write. And it's important that you give them the time. You give them the respect. And if there's tough questions that come, be honest. It doesn't mean you have to tell them everything. You can do things in the right way, but when you do that, they respect that in return. It's reciprocated, and it's natural. And I just, I'm not going to change the other part of that too is we need to remember, and our players understand this, is that when you talk to the media, we're talking to the fans too. We're talking to our city. And so that's not fair for us to be able to only talk when things are good. That's easy. What about when things are bad? And that's when the real you comes out. And when you can handle adversity and you're yourself, and you can, and you'll get, and it might not always be the right answer, but I think you agree that when you get in those situations, just be real, be honest, and you're not going to be perfect.
Well, you refer to reporters doing their job, and their job is to write a story, tell a story, that is of interest to their readership or listeners. And sometimes that story is one that you love. Sometimes that story is not one that you appreciate very much.
Yeah, that's part of the business.
That's right. But that overall, they are helping your organization.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. And then you see them in different functions. You build relationships. I'm with them 1 year, and I feel like I know a lot of them really well. And it's only going to get stronger. And I don't want them to feel like they can't ask me a tough question. I don't believe they feel that way, but I'm going to give them my honest opinion, and sometimes they won't like it, but that's what they're going to do.
Let's talk about leadership. You're a leader. You look for players who are leaders. When you're looking for leadership qualities, what are you looking for?
Well, number one, I do believe in that, and the leader. There's a great quote: "Leaders create leaders." And when you have that, right now with us, we're at a point right now where leadership takes trust. Right? In order to lead, you got to have people that trust in you. Trust takes time. Trust does not have. That was probably the most challenging part of last year for me. Was, like you said, I've never been a head coach before. You think those players don't know that? So they know that. And so how am I going to build their trust? How am I going to earn their trust? Well, you do that by being honest with them, and you do that by being real with them. You do that by loving them. You do that by caring, but you also do that by letting them know that you can be tough too. And I call it the dark. We call it the dark side in a good way. That they need to be checked at times. And so for me, I love reading leadership books. I just got done a few weeks ago reading a book about the New Zealand All Blacks legacy. It's a great book. There's so much stuff in there that can teach you about life and about handling adversity. It talks about sweeping the sheds. And the greatest part of that, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard that before, but don't ever be too big to do the little things. And whether that's on the football field, whether that's in whatever you do, don't ever be too big to do the little things. And so we're going to kind of have a spin-off this year with some of that stuff. But it works, and you win, and you build trust. Guys appreciate it. I want the other thing is this, is that we have 90 players on our team right now. We have 25 coaches. Okay, so over 100 people that have way different personalities. The best advice that was given to me when I hired my staff was, and it's easy to do this, is to hire the same people that are the people that are very similar to you personality-wise. That's the worst thing you can do. You need to have different personalities. So the whole BU thing is why I like that and believe in that is because we're all so different. Everybody in this room right now has a different personality. Introverted, extroverted, quiet, loud, funny, not funny, mean, nice, everything. All that, when that intermingles together, right? And then you take that same stuff and you take the personalities and you take the skill levels on the football field and you let all that happen and the strengths and weaknesses, then no one's trying to be anybody different and not trying to be fake. It's unbelievable how that works. And so let your personality show is essentially where I get with that behavior.
We all have different personalities, and all of those who work for you have different ideas on how things should be done. And so how encouraging are you in getting those people who do work for you to express those ideas that are contrary to your own, and you take that too far?
No, I want that. I look for that. Humility, no ego. All of our coaches, that's what we teach is ideas. Everybody has, and that's, I think, as I learned how to be a coach under the greatest mentor for me, which was Coach Reed in Kansas City. He taught me how to coach, but he also taught me how to be a better person. And so when you take those two, the coaching side of it is just making sure that you're good to your own coaches, but you got to give them responsibilities. And when they have ownership in something, then bring it on. And I thought the most powerful thing that Coach did with us was we might have the greatest play that we saw somewhere that we created in our mind before we went to bed. But when you present that to Coach Reed, it better have a why behind it. And you better know why you think that play's going to work. That it's not just some stuff you drew up on a napkin, because you were crazy that night thinking of plays. And so as long as you got, so with our coaches, we got guys that have coached college, high school, they're young, they're old. They got unbelievable ideas. Bring it to me. And let's talk about it, draw it up there, and then when it works, then you get the look on the sideline, and then just they got that, they think they want to be like that next offensive coordinator. But you got to have that. You got to have it.
Absolutely. That makes total sense, and that again applies not only to competitive athletics, but business to so many areas
For sure.
of your life. Chicago. You were pretty familiar with the city, obviously, but before you became the head coach of the Bears, did you have a very good feel for the atmosphere among Chicago Bear fans? And is that unique in terms of the rest of the NFL?
No, it's absolutely unique, and I think number one, anybody that coaches in the National Football League, you need to understand the tradition and the history of this founding franchise. And so, but you might not know how strong it is or what it's like when you're in there. The only time that I was in Soldier Field was with I was there with the Eagles in a normal game, regular season game, and it was tough. It was tough sledding. I mean, you could feel it. Then we played in the preseason, and the preseason didn't really mean that much, so it was a little bit different. So they would give you a pass there. But I knew the people, the type of people that we have here. That's what I go back to this year when I can specifically remember that Minnesota Vikings game, the Rams game, and that's when I think we all took it to the next level. I'm going to tell you right now, and I told our team this was before the season started. We need to protect Soldier Field. And when people walk into that field, they're going to feel us. And I didn't know if that was going to work. 7-1, I think our guys and our fans and our players, they held that end of the bargain. Now, we can't be 7-1, we got to be 8-0, 7-1, or more than that, right? But at the same time, I appreciated our guys taking that goal and taking that seriously. You could feel that atmosphere at Soldier Field when we played at home. I mean, it was amazing. And then just to feel how happy the city was and the fans after the games, the club dub going and the guys going crazy, and we want that, but we want more of that this year, and that's so important.
Team in the NFL each year gets what you want, and so the odds are tough.
It is.
You had a fantastic season, obviously. It ended on a tough note.
Yep.
And that brings me to a question about place kickers.
There was about a 100% chance of you not bringing this up.
So here's my question. Does it bother you that so many games come down to the performance of a player whose skills are so different from all of the other players on that?
No, because here's the fascinating part of all this, and I talk to a lot of different people in a lot of different areas of sports, and it's when you're in that position, regardless of what game it is, whether it's playoffs, regular season, etc. When you're a kicker, you either make it or you don't, right? And so you're judged based off of your production. As a coach, for me, I'm evaluated off of do we win or do we lose? Do I win as a head coach or do I lose as a head coach? If I lose and I don't do well, I'm trying to take your job, So that was a joke. But I don't really want that. So I want to do well and I want to try to win. But we're based off of its production. And again, these kids are human. And they're human beings, they're good people, and I think sometimes we as coaches, players, fans, city, it's hard. We're so competitive that we want to win every game, and we want to be able to place the blame on a lot of different people. And I just think that for us, that was a tough loss the way it happened, but I always go back to it in a lot of different areas, including myself. We could have been a lot better and have it not come down to that, but it did. And so, there's examples I can give you throughout sports where that happens. So, but that's last year. We're moving on, and what did I tell you at the beginning of this? We're going to spin that from a negative into a positive, and it's as simple as that.
Right after that loss, and that's the message you delivered.
Right.
And you also delivered it after the season opening loss to the Packers, which was also a
tough
one.
Yeah, that was a fun one for the first game as a head coach.
Okay, look, NFL draft a week from tonight.
Yeah, we're off on Thursday.
That's true. You're off Thursday, off Friday as well.
But we got a guy. We got a guy by the name of Khalil.
Yes. You will make that trade again and again and again.
Yes, so would you.
Yes. So we're all group here. But what are you hoping for from the draft? Do you have specific areas where you think you have a bigger need than others?
Yeah, we do, and I'm not going to tell you, but what we do have is we need depth. We do need depth.
That's a good one.
Yeah, no, we're going to get depth and get better.
Excellent response to that question.
You didn't tell me that one was coming. I didn't want to tell you.
Attaboy, coach!
What's that?
Attaboy, coach!
All right, a couple of questions about your current team. Mitch Trubisky had a fantastic season. How can he get even better?
So with Mitch, it's been neat the last couple of days just watching him get back to watching Bears offense this year instead of Chiefs offense from before when we were installing our offense. So now he gets to see all the different defenses that he's seen, the blitzes, the fronts, the stunts, the coverages, all the rotation and stuff. He gets to evaluate himself off of that. Last year, trying to learn a new language is hard. So he did a great job. We threw so much at him, and he did a wonderful job at making sure throughout that whole year that not only did he get the play call and try to make the play work to his best of his ability, but try to also see the defense. His step this year is to make sure that he sees the other side of the ball. First wide vision, being able to get the guys set, motion shifts, get the mic ID, fix that, play clock's running down. Okay, easy right there. Okay, safety rotate, set high, and then make the throw. He'll be able to be better at that now because he sees that they're going from cover 2 to cover 3 or cover 6, et cetera. And I think that's where he's really looking to take that quantum leap into that. And then the rest of the guys on the offense too need to help him. And they'll now be a year into this offense where they're going to play faster. So hopefully it ends up being better than it was last year. But I am proud of our guys because they hung in there for most of the year and they played hard.
New defensive coordinator, former head coach at Indianapolis, Dr. Pagano. Will it be a significantly different look on defense?
I'm not so sure about that. I think it's fun in the fact that, number one, I wish Vic a lot of success other than week 2. I wish him a lot of success. He's going to do a good job, and that's going to be fun playing that game. He's going to do great, and he deserved that opportunity. That's a good thing when you have coaches leaving for that reason to become head coaches. Chuck, we were super lucky to get him in here. Again, I'm going to go back to you start with a good person. As humble, unbelievable, good person, character that there might be. And then you take the coaching experience and who he is as a coach and you match that together. I feel like the sky's the limit. It's fun watching what he's doing right now with the defense, with teaching these guys where they're at. And so our guys understand that. They realize that and they know there's change and change is good at times. So he's done a wonderful job at getting that thing going. I'm excited to see in OTAs we get to phase 3 where we go against each other, how that works. But he's a guy that is very competitive. He's aggressive, which is what we believe in, and he's also understands the player side and gets them. And I think you're going to see a defense that really plays hard for him.
Well, you are an NFL head coach, but you are husband and a dad. And Kyle told us that you have 4 boys between the ages of 14 and 2 of them are twins. How tough is it to be an NFL head coach and be a family, a dad?
Yeah, it's I'm learning. I'm learning on the run. So if I take them to a basketball tournament over the weekend, there's passionate fans that want to say hi and thank us for a great year, and that comes with the territory. You have to challenge that when you're watching a game to make sure that I'm a dad at that point. And I appreciate the parents that we have on our team that help me with that, so I don't have to be the one that says that. But they know that. They get it. They're sports kids. They're very competitive themselves. I had to dang near break up a fight last night with my 2 oldest at the table because they want to play each other one-on-one at hoops. And they're 2 years older, and of course, but so I was at that last night for a little bit, which was good. I broke it up and told them I'm not there to ref it. They wanted to play tonight, one-on-one. I said, I can't do it. I'm going to be gone. So we get back to that. But competitiveness, I love that about them. And so they'll challenge me again, just like my father, on rides home. Dad, what are you doing with that play call? And are you sure you wanted to make that decision and whatever? And so I'll give them an honest answer. But they're great, and I love them to death. And that's why I think in our profession as coaches, whether it's college or the pros, and even sometimes in high school, for sure, you can let that get the most of you and not be a good dad. And I told you that I wanted to coach high school because I wanted to be a better dad. I wanted to be a dad. And so knowing what I could do in the off season and make up that time, the best advice that was given to me from a coach from Philadelphia, he said, it's not about the presence that you give your kids, it's about your presence. Yep. And I think that was just that always hit me. I love playing golf. I played golf for a long time, since I was 15. Kids came, and now coaching in the NFL came, and I'd much rather sit out in the right field and spit sunflower seeds watching my boys play baseball than go play around with 120 round golf. But that's what it is, and so I find that very important, and I'll never ever let that get in the way of my kids and my wife.
Well, speaking of presence, Matt, we really appreciate your presence here with us.
Thanks. Just personally, we talk about being selfless, and the American Red Cross, for everything that has gone on that we saw here on the video. I just think there's so much to life about helping each other and helping one another, and it's very important that there's a lot of bad stuff going out there right now. You always see it on the news, the bad stuff, but the things that the American Red Cross does, it hits your heart, and you realize, that there's a lot of stuff that's not in the paper. Everybody reads about the Bears and all these other, but there's other stuff that doesn't get recognized. So I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, say thank you for having me here, inviting me, and just for everything that you all do to help others. That's not in the paper. It doesn't get recognized. It's too important. And so I want to make sure that I can help out in any way possible, and just whatever that is. But I think that the Red Cross here deserves an applause.